Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, How I Became Manager of My Store. After that, no, your kids do not get to play for free. After that, Entitled Mom drops her kids off on us at 2 a.m. And after that, I want to file a complaint against her. Now Karen told me if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't file any complaints for an entire week, so please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. By the way, become a channel member today and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. How I became manager of my store. I started working at a cell phone store back in 2015 and quickly learned how to sell and became one of the best sellers in the company. I worked with several people at the store, one of which was the manager in question, who I will refer to as Jerk from here on out. So, Jerk could not sell to save his life. He was absolutely terrible and walked even some of the easiest sales. He also tried sabotaging a lot of my sales because I was performing and he wasn't. Some time goes by and I was learning operations of the store and became the assistant store manager. After about a year there, another company bought them out, authorized retailer for those who know what that is, and cut our commission pretty hard. Several of us jumped ship and worked at a different carrier. Meanwhile, Jerk is still working for the company and slowly working his way up. He managed a couple smaller stores for a while. In this time period, I worked several different jobs, including some wireless sales and then car sales. After realizing I was making more money at the cell phone store, I was at a bad dealership. I called up the district manager and got to talking with him. At this point, there was a different but equally as terrible manager in the store. I sat down with both of them one day for lunch and hashed out what it would take for me to come back. This district manager had also promised me management before I had left once the position became available. Well, after being back for a month or two, the manager had been moved to another store and I was the temporary manager. So after doing that for about a month, they brought in Jerk. Now, let me tell you about Jerk a little bit. He is an arrogant guy whose parents pay for the majority of his bills. He is super entitled and can never be wrong. He will openly mock you on your intelligence in front of everyone because he sees himself smarter than anyone in the room, even though he was probably one of the dumbest. If you tried to correct him on a sale, he would yell at you in front of everyone. He believes he is God's gift to earth. After they brought him in, I was still running everything in the store. I was training every new employee, doing all of the store operations, etc. I was making it well known with upper management that I was actually the one running the store and was responsible for its performance. But he took all the glory and paycheck, bragging how he is running the best store in the company and that it's all him. But over half of the numbers the store put out were mine. I was single-handed hitting the metrics for him to reach bonus. Now enter my friend. My friend can sell just as well as I can, and Jerk was very threatened because he thought we were coming after his job, which we were, of course, because he is a jerk. So he decides he is going to try everything he can to get us fired. He was writing us up for the dumbest little things, and eventually he ended up getting my friend fired. He had all the other employees write statements for a verbal altercation my friend got in with a customer. He then was asking the other employees to try to get me to look at their statements. It was very obvious what was going on because 3 different people were being persistent on trying to get me to read these statements. One coworker in particular was responsible for reporting my friend to HR, which got him fired, and she was now helping him go after me. Keep this in mind for later. After I refused, he just decided he was going to tell HR I did anyways. So I was pulled in the back by Jerk and my district manager and was told I was being investigated for sending my friend the confidential statements, which I didn't, of course. They spent about a good couple hours reviewing cameras trying to catch me taking a picture of the screen, which they didn't find. So at the end of it all, I was cleared and they had no proof of me doing anything wrong. There were other little incidents that I knew were traps to try and get me in trouble, but I didn't fall for any of them. I did everything by the book. I covered my butt with every little thing I did since I had a target on my back. I knew it was a matter of time until one of us was going to go, and I decided it was going to be him. For about 3 months, I sat and I watched every little thing he did. He didn't know it, but I had a log of every infraction he made, most of which nothing was big enough to get him fired. Then he started making some very big mistakes. He was disappearing for several hours on the clock. One day he left for 6 hours to help his girlfriend move while still on the clock. I waited until the pay period was over to make sure he didn't submit a time adjustment. Strike one. The next was he was letting customers out the back door. We have traffic counters on our doors, and part of a way he got paid was close rate to traffic. This was now commission fraud as his numbers were inflated. Strike two. The final blow was his dumbest move yet. A customer about 2 months prior had ordered a phone and never picked it up. Jerk then had a business customer come into the store looking for the same phone, which was just a $60 flip phone. He told the business customer that he would just give him one for free. He gave him the other customer's phone, so now he just stole from a customer. Strike three. The setup. After Jerk got done bragging about what he just did to me, because he thinks he is smarter than everyone, I immediately went to work. I finally was able to contact the customer. The customer just so happened to be the girl mentioned earlier who was working with him to try and get me fired. The customer came in to pick up her phone. I made sure it was a day that the three of us were there, but of course it wasn't there. The customer was elderly and was in the hospital for almost 2 months. He has very well done himself now. As he tried to figure out what to do to get out of the situation, I am in the coworker girl's ear on how he gave it to another customer for free. He then asked the girl to go in half with him to replace the phone, which upset her. I convinced her to report it to HR since if I did, it could be considered retaliation for my friend getting fired. She calls HR, and I told her that she can list me as a witness since I was there for the whole thing. About 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from HR. I explained the whole situation to them, and they asked me if there was anything else they needed to know. Well, since you asked, and I just went down the whole list. I had added up all the time he stole from the company, the customers out the back door, as well as some other things. Now, Jerk is being investigated. This takes quite a bit of time. In that time, we happened to get a new district manager. The district manager's first day at our store was to fire Jerk. I immediately text Jerk and go, "Dang, what happened, man? Heard you got fired." As if I had no idea what happened. He then went off on me and telling me I'm a jerk and he knows I reported him, blah blah blah. It was so sweet to have beat this entitled jerk. I got into the new district manager's ear about the position and immediately assumed the operational responsibilities again. The best part was earlier Jerk told me there is no way I'd go from a rep to a manager at that store, top tier store. I'd have to start at a lower store. Well, guess what? Not only did I get him fired, about 2 weeks later, I get promoted to that top tier store. Last I heard, he went and worked at some cell phone kiosk before taking a retail job at Apple. I later fired the girl who was trying to help Jerk get me fired. She was still trying to get me in trouble, so she put a target on her back. I was able to fire her with cause eventually. I also fired her dumb friend for theft. I was the manager there for about 2 years and finally got out after they kept lowering commissions time and time again, working at a much better place now. Next we've got, no, your kids do not get to play for free. For context, I live in New Zealand and people here tend to be pretty chill. So when this happened, it was like, what? So background, I work a couple of part-time jobs and one of them is at a kids playground/theater. We run live shows Muppet style and have a custom-built playground outside. Now, important things to note. 1. We charge $15 for tickets to the show, and then with that, kids can play on the playground. 2. If you are not seeing a show, we charge $10 per kid to use the playground. Remembering this is a custom-built, one-of-a-kind job. Every kid that has been paid for gets a brightly colored wristband, so we know that they have been paid for. I've worked there almost since it opened in 2016, so I know the place very well. On to the story. This was a typical Saturday, and I was working the front desk selling tickets and giving out the wristbands when my colleague for the day, we'll call him Steve, walks in with the mother, entitled parent, and her 4 kids. Steve seemed a little bit stressed as he was new and quickly directed the entitled parent to me. The conversation goes as follows. Me. Hi, how can I help you today? Entitled parent. Yes, your staff here was very rude, gesturing wildly to Steve, and he tried to stop my children playing. Me. Are you seeing our show today? Now I can see her kids don't have wristbands, but I'm asking anyways. No, we are just using the playground. Can we go now? This lady literally puts her hands on her hips and glares at me as if I'm singularly responsible for all her problems. Me. I'm sorry. If you're just using the playground, there is a $10 charge per person. I see you have 4 kids, so would you like to purchase 4 bands? Entitled parent, gasping like a fish. What do you mean there's a charge for the playground? It's a playground? There are free ones down the road. Why should we pay? Me. At this point, I'm a little stunned. I'm sorry you feel that way. Our park is one of a kind, and some of our pieces took years to build. Well, I came here when it opened, and there wasn't any charge, so you should honor that. Okay, 2 things. 1, it has never been free here. 2, even if it was, that doesn't mean you get free after a price is changed. Like that ain't how business works. Now I know I said I was there from the very beginning, but she didn't know that. That's strange. I've worked here since we opened, and there's always been a charge. Maybe you just forgot you paid. No, we didn't pay then, so we are not paying now. Do you understand? Then the entitled parent reaches across my counter and tries to grab a bunch of bands from my stock, which I quickly move out of the way. She then proceeds to shout in my face a whole bunch of stuff not worth repeating, but my favorite part was when she tried to act like I didn't speak English. I've been speaking with you for over 5 minutes in a very Kiwi accent. Like, what? Anyways, it gets to the point where I'm done. Entitled parent has run out of things to say, and I now have a line of parents and kids waiting to purchase wristbands like normal people. Me. In that case, take it you're not going to be buying any tickets? No, we are not. Me. I'm sorry we couldn't be of help. I say very cheerily and with a big smile, cause soon, hopefully, she'll be gone. I hope your kids have fun at one of the other parks you were talking about. The entitled parent splutters around for a bit when my manager, who had been listening in from his office, which sits behind my desk, customers can't see it, walks out. Entitled parent sees this as an opportunity, and I have never seen anyone get taken down so fast. My manager has terrible customer service skills, so he usually leaves all of that to me, but clearly had had enough. Entitled parent. Your staff has been… My manager loudly cuts in. I'm sorry, my staff has clearly explained everything to you and has been treating you with far more respect than you deserve. You have stated your intention not to purchase anything from us, so I am now asking you to not harass my staff anymore and that you leave the site immediately. Then he walked out again. A little annoyed, he just left. But you can't win at everything. Entitled parent splutters for a moment, then sees that Steve, who I might add is a big guy, has come back over just in time for the last part and is waiting arms crossed for her to leave. She sends another glare and a few choice words about customer service and her rights, etc., but eventually leaves, thank God. Anyways, I was glad she left. The next week, I'm checking emails and stuff, and see that an anonymous person sent a scathing email meant to be given to management that was about me and my manager's inexcusable behavior. Clearly the entitled parent. But I'm in charge of emails, so deleted. Hopefully I'll never hear from her again. Next we've got entitled mom drops her kids off on us at 2 a.m. This happened literally just last night, and I'm not mad, just kinda confused. Mind you, I was half asleep at the time, and only overheard this from the hallway since it was not even the crack of dawn, so I had to ask my mom about the details. A little background is required for more than one thing. 1. This entitled mother is our landlord's ex-wife. By our, I mean my family. Me, I'm 15, my sister who's 17, and my mom, and 2 roommates. She's still hanging around because their divorce papers still haven't gone completely through after a year, and now she wants to take everything of his. She has 2 kids. One's a toddler and the other is like 6. The kids didn't actually come in the house, and were just waiting in the car the whole time. 2. The person she wanted to have babysit her kids was our basement roommate, who has been having manic episodes for days. She's a vet with PTSD and was finally taken to the hospital by the cops some 10 hours beforehand. We've got entitled mom, we've got my mom, we've got roommate 1, super nice dude by the way, we've got roommate 2, hospitalized, and we've got the landlord. So we were all blissfully woken up by super loud knocking at the front door at, when I checked my phone, 2 a.m. I knew my mom would go open the door and see what the heck was going on, so I just stayed in bed, not wanting to get involved, and tried to go back to sleep. Mom, when she opened the door, "Hey, what's wrong? It's raining. Come on inside." Entitled mom, "I can't get a hold of landlord. I've been calling him, but not getting an answer. Is roommate 2 here?" Mom, "No, she's in the hospital, but let me see if roommate 1 is here." Mom went to knock on roommate 1's door, and entitled mom had followed directly behind her without letting her know, even banging really loud on his door. Roommate 1, "What's going on?" Mom, "Entitled mom's trying to get a hold of the landlord." Roommate 1 turning to entitled mom, "Don't you have his phone number?" "Yeah, but I've called over and over and haven't gotten an answer. Can you call him for me?" Roommate tried to call him on his phone, but got no answer. Maybe because it was 2 in the morning. Just a guess though. Entitled mom, "Well, can you guys watch my kids? I have to catch a flight and I can't take them with me." Mom, "No, I'm sorry." "Why not? My kids are waiting in the car." Mom and roommate 1 shook their heads. All entitled mom had to do was look around and see that the house was not fit for kids at all. Sharp edges and corners. The stairs leading to the basement were steeper than the plummeting rates of my self-esteem, barely safe for even a grown human. Plus, it was all too sudden. Entitled mom, "Well, what about roommate 2? Is she here?" Roommate 1, "No, she's in the hospital. It's just me, mom, and her kids." "Well, is she coming home tonight?" "I don't know if she's ever coming back. Landlord doesn't want her to come back on account of property damage. During her manic episodes, she got violent and broke a lot of things." Entitled mom asks for the details about how she went to the hospital, and roommate 1 and mom give them to her. "Well, just so you know, landlord is having an affair with roommate 2. This was really random. Not sure why she said it. Maybe to make roommate 2 look bad? I'm also 99% sure they weren't in a relationship. Roommate 2 said some pretty bad things about landlord during her episodes. Mom, "Why does it matter to you? You're getting a divorce. Now could you be a little quieter? My kids are sleeping." She insisted some more that we babysit her kids, and mom and roommate 1 kept trying to pound some common sense into her brain, until I guess she finally realized it wasn't happening and gave up, huffing out of the house. I'm still not sure what entitled mom was thinking, showing up at someone's house at 2 a.m. with no warning and expecting them to gladly babysit your 2 kids for an indefinite amount of time and barely accept no as an answer. I'm just seriously confused, not even angry. And was she jealous of roommate 2 for having a relationship with the man she was divorcing? Entitled mom's honestly just all kinds of whack. Next we've got, "I want to file a complaint against her." So yesterday at work it got pretty busy. I'm only part-time, so I was only there for 5 hours, but I still have to take a 10-minute break, no matter how busy it is. I'll stay to help get the line down if there is one, but once I clock out for my break, there's nothing I can do until it's over. It gets to be about an hour and a half before I get home. My manager, who was my backup cashier, and I both had a line, but she told me to cut my light, finish the line I had, and take my break. Now, we have to clock out for our breaks, and to do that, we just put in our user ID, password, hit tab 5 times, then enter. Takes 10, maybe 15 seconds to do. I finish the last customer in line and clock out. As soon as I hit enter, this dude rushes up to my register, throws his basket down, and starts to unload it. I say, "I'm sorry, sir, but I just clocked out for my break. I can't help you." He gets all upset and throws his hands up saying, "Come on, man. I just got over here, and she's helping someone with balloons, but you're just gonna turn me away like that?" I apologize, and he walks away. I thought maybe he was just having a bad day. I go to the restroom, come back, and she still got quite the line. I felt bad about that, but what could I do? I was still on break. I jokingly ask, "Where'd all these people come from?" And that same dude shouts, "They came from you being on break." I laughed it off, which admittedly may have just upset him even more. Went to the office right behind the registers and sat down, because I had been on my feet 3.5 hours by then. We'd been busy as heck. I wasn't feeling well, and I had little sleep the night before. I then hear, "Where's your manager?" Lo and behold, it's that same guy. He then goes on to complain to my manager and say I'm unprofessional for turning him away and not checking him out. He then said, "And how do you feel with her sticking you with this line?" Like, first of all, sir, it was slowish when I went on break. Secondly, I can't control how busy the store gets when I go on said break. He just kept going on and on about how unprofessional I was. The whole situation was just absurd. Because, let's be real, this guy was complaining to my manager and calling me unprofessional because I wouldn't bend the rules and ring him up while off the clock. How dare I make him wait in the line, like literally everyone else in the store has to do. The best part? My break was over like 2, maybe 4 minutes after he left. Remember, my break was 10 minutes. When I went out there to continue my job, I got some customers through that had seen the whole thing. What did they have to say about it? Don't let jerks like that get you down. He made a fool of himself by complaining because everyone else knew my register was closed. My light was off, and none of the other customers had tried to come to my register and had heard my manager tell me to take my break. When he came to my register, he lost his place in line. Remember when I said my break was over like 2 to 4 minutes after he left? Yeah, he would have been out of there much quicker had he just been patient and waited in line, like literally everyone else in the store had to do. I didn't get in trouble, because why would I? I did nothing wrong. My manager just told me to not let people like that get to me, which is sometimes easier said than done, but in this situation, given how odd it was, I found it pretty easy to just laugh it off. That's the first genuinely rude customer I've dealt with, the first complaint I've had, and of course it was on Black Friday. Edit. A lot of people are concerned by me saying I have to clock out for my 10-minute break. Just wanted to clarify that I do get paid for them. I just have to clock out for documentation purposes so they can verify that I took my break. Every employee has to do it, even the managers. And shoutouts to our Re-Generals of the day: Sapphire Raven, Off-Road Boy, Zero, Jay, and Professor Bobby. Become tomorrow's Re-Generals by leaving as many Re's as you can in the comments below.